I want to talk to you a little bit about how we're going to approach this weekend. And I first of all got to share with you about a friend of ours, mutual friend of Pastor Jerry and mine. We have a mutual friend. His name is Matt. He's a pastor, and he is huge into karate. I met him one day for lunch in Wichita, and he was just kind of barely getting along. And I said, "Are you okay?" And he goes, "Oh, man, I started karate class this week." Has anybody here taken karate before? No, a couple of us. Cool. So I haven't, so I'm just going by what he says. But Matt said, "Oh, man," he goes, "I never knew karate was going to be like this." I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "I thought karate was to teach you how to fight. But karate isn't to teach you how to fight. In fact," he says, "it's almost more how to teach you how to avoid a fight." I said, "Well, how do they do it? I mean, do you get tired getting punched and stuff all the time?" He goes, "Oh, no, that's not karate." He goes, in most hand-to-hand combat kind of training, you're moving forward. You have an enemy or a target, and you're coming at them. And he said, so most of the time, the muscles that I have strengthened in my body are muscles that move me forward to attack. But he said karate is totally different. Correct me if I'm wrong, you guys that have had. He goes, karate is just as much or more about backing up as it is moving forward. And he said, the reason I'm so sore, he said, all my backup muscles are just beat to death. I said, "Your backup muscles?" He goes, "The back of your legs and the back of my shoulders and the backs of my arms." And he goes, "I'm so sore on the backside of my body, I can hardly walk." I didn't know that. But as I listen to him talk, it reminds me of the intention of God's Word. Because God's Word was never intended to just be poured on us to go faster in our life. But in fact, God's Word was meant to undo the idiot I've become. It's like this box of books I have here. In education, when you go to high school, when you go to school for studies or college, or you're taking continuing education or training, you come in like this box. This box represents your life, your brain, and you study. Here's some books that I'm going to study, and so I'm going to take wisdom from that idea. I'm going to put it in my mind. I'm going to take wisdom from that. I'm going to load myself up with wisdom. So I'm not going to change anything. I'm just going to add to who I am and pour all this wisdom in me. Academia tells me that the smarter I get, the better person I am. Anybody disagree with that? The smarter I get, the better employee I will be. The wiser I become, the better manager I'm going to become. So the whole mentality is just take who you are, add a little of this, and you'll be a better person. Sadly, we have treated God's Word in the same way. And this is where I'd like to begin challenging you tonight. Because I do not believe that God's Word was ever intended to just be learned. I don't believe that we were ever intended to see God's Word as a book we just add to who we are. In fact, instead, I'm going to move this down here a little bit. In fact, I believe that God's Word was actually intended to replace who I am. In other words, here's me, here's what I've always been, here's who I have created, and then I pick up a Bible, and instead of just adding it to my stack, I believe God intended all along that He would replace what I have added to make me, set it aside, remove it from my box, and put God's Word in. It's unlearning. Let me get my slide up here. It's unlearning rather than simply learning. See, for some of us, we've worked 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years creating this masterpiece. Some of us haven't worked very hard. And now I pick up God's Word, and the attitudes I've taken on, and the ways I see people, and the way I treat people, and the way I make commitments, my level of excellence, and so forth, my work ethic. When I pick up God's Word, it doesn't just say, add this to you. it says this is meant to undo you. So what would it be like tonight if you and I were to take this weekend and instead of just stacking it on top of your head and go, all right, remember all that, what if we received God's word and we replaced something in us we took out? And we added God's wisdom. And then we added, instead of our attitude, maybe our understanding, what we've always thought, we're going to take it out. And we're going to replace it with God's word. Ladies, you can relate to this. If you ever take out an old freezer burn roast and you throw it in a crock pot, it doesn't matter how many fresh vegetables you throw on top of it. It's still going to gross out the whole family, isn't it? Now, what's the only way that you can make that dinner taste well? Remove the old roast. Start over. So for some of us, this is going to possibly be a restart opportunity tonight, where we're going to look at God's word and not just add it to the person we are, but we're going to be asking at the same time, Lord, what would you desire to undo in me?